or live,
Okay,
YouTube.
very good.
It is Wednesday, March 24th, 2021 at 5:18 p.m. I call the Board of Assessment Appeals to order. I am Selectman Todd Archulowski, the liaison and a non-voting member. I now turn the meeting over to the Board of Assessment Appeals.
Hello, my name is John Herman. I'm acting as the chairman today, and I will call this meeting to order. We have today Joel Stewart and Jackie Mulvey, who are members of this panel, and also Glenn Albanesius, who is an alternate to this panel. First person to hear today is Ansari Asim. Is he present? Is that person present? Are we at this? I don't think we have Ansari on deck here, do we?
Someone by the name of Ben is coming in. No, he may be press, but let's see.
Let's see. The first one in line was supposed to be. Cat out of the way. Okay. You have Bennett? I don't have a Bennett on the list. March 24th. Okay, so far this chairman thing isn't going too badly. Okay.
These virtual meetings have all the dynamics of a regular meeting.
Ben, I'm asking you to unmute. I'm not sure if you're here just as an observer or if you are an applicant. But I am giving you a prompt, and you. No. So he may just be here as an observer. So let's see. I have someone else in the waiting room, and he might be your. No, he's not. He's not scheduled till 5:45.
Asim, A-S-I-M.
Yeah, he's not here yet.
Okay.
I tell you, your 5:45 appointment is here. But I don't know if you want to start.
Why don't we do that?
If you want to do that.
Yeah, let's use the time.
Okay.
Okay, so 5:45 is Janet and Craig Clausen. Okay. So as soon as they pop up into my vision, I can say hello, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right then.
Mr. Clausen, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Hello, Craig. This is John Herman. I'm acting as chairman today.
Hi, John. How are you?
Good. How are you doing? And you know, we've the person prior to you hasn't arrived, so we're going to go ahead and hear your case right now. If that
Okay.
works. Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
So by all means, tell us every detail so that you know, like we're 2 years old, so we don't miss anything. Okay.
Problem. In December, we purchased this lot at 851 East Wakefield Boulevard. The sale price when we purchased it was $375. Our notes reflect the prior owner, who owned it for approximately 11 years, purchased it for $26,500. It consists of a parcel of land a little over a half acre in size. So based on two arm's length transactions, we feel that the 90, what's the full value? I think it's 90,000. Is way too high based on these two sales. We've also included other sales that took place that was given to you on recent sales. which are nowhere near the 90,000.
Okay, quick question. Is that the lot that's got a foundation put on it?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Are you developing a house on there?
We
What's-
are. We sold our house at the lake in January, and we purchased the lot in December.
Oh, so you're going to build a house to live in it?
Correct.
And
Gotcha.
you cleared the lot, right?
I'm sorry?
You cleared the lot.
Yes, we did.
Okay, and now you have a pretty good view from that lot, I'm thinking. Is that the case? I haven't been up there, but it looks like it must have a.
Well, we do. I mean, there's a bunch of trees on Sisson's property, which is directly across from it, that blocks. Oh, I mean, we certainly can see the lake.
Once you get up there higher with your house, I guess you'll have a view.
Right.
All right. Okay, question, the sale, I guess that wasn't an advertised sale, that was a sale,
That-
or was it?
No, that sale right there, that property was on the market with the previous owner for a number of years. I
Oh, it
don't
was-
have that was listed with a real estate company here in Winston
Okay,
quite a while.
all right. All right. Geez,
I mean, when I say quite a while, I mean years. They owned it in 2000, they bought it in 2011. And they tried to, I'm pretty sure it was on the market ever since, or shortly after they had bought it. And until we, so, I mean, that's quite a while.
Okay. All right, Joel, Jackie, do you have any questions?
Yeah, there's a note in here for a driveway easement. Does that mean that part of your property is being an easement from
What?
somebody else, or?
What we found out, John DeCara did the survey work, and there's a house up in the back that comes in from the dirt road, accesses their property. And actually, when we surveyed it, come to find out a part of their driveway on this piece of property. So we ended up, well, actually, the prior owner did it, corrected it prior to us purchasing it, but there was a driveway easement given to them.
And what's the condition of the property? Is it like flat, wonderful, buildable? Is it super
Well,
wooded, really
I mean,
steep,
it's built,
rocky?
it's in the back. I mean, there's a grade that goes uphill. I don't know if you're familiar coming in from Mountain Road, but I don't know what that dirt road is called behind it. But it fronts on that dirt road and it's a grade going uphill, not flat by any means.
But you are going to access East Wakefield Boulevard with your driveway.
That is correct. And that's where we got the driveway permit for.
Well, my 2 cents is, I mean, if it was publicly listed for a while and it finally sold at 37,000, that's probably closer to where it needs to be. Just from a market perspective, I think what we have to work with here is the condition factor of 1. And if he's got a chunk of his land missing or being utilized via an easement, and there's parts of it that aren't perfect condition, flat land, we could definitely work with something there.
But
And again, I mean, these were both arm's length transactions. The sale prior to ours was not a relative or anything like that. Sissons actually owned that piece of property. They were planning, they had gotten an approval to build a house on it. Clark Sisson actually passed away. He was working on the site and had a heart attack and passed away. And then his wife held it for a number of years and, just being by herself, decided she needed to sell it. She did. And the gentleman that bought it, we bought it from, bought it. And he had it, I believe, for 11 years. Let me see what the sales, I got the sale.
I guess I can't go on my computer and look up the MLS because it'll throw this whole thing off, right?
And I don't have access to the MLS anymore. I can't.
But
I don't want to take a
like,
chance of losing.
if you do that, we'll still be able to see and hear you.
Yeah, I
But when you
will.
have your
I will.
browser up, you won't be able to see us. Yeah. Unless you mute yourself or turn off your video, it is always watching you.
Okay, all
Now,
right.
I have a question. Is this assessment is based on the property on a certain date?
I don't know what the date is, when
Well, the
this,
sell price
well,
is
it's approximately $91,000 and, so that's what I'm working off, what it currently is. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but the property is in the state of development. I mean, how far are you along in building?
We've got the foundation in the ground, period.
Yeah, it's listed here as residential vacant, so I think it's zoned properly. And I think the location
I mean-
adjustment, DW1, I'm sure that means Lakeview. I'm not entirely sure that designation is Lakeview. So that's accurate. And what you're looking at when you look at the back and you're looking at the price, I just want to go through this. When you look at the, you sent us some of those comparables.
Yep.
And if you look at them and you see the acres,
Yep.
there's 3 acres, 4 acres, 11 acres, 13 acres.
Correct.
The way that Vision does the assessments for the town is that the
Yeah.
smaller the acreage, the more they make your property worth per acre.
Right. I mean, I know
So-
some of the land becomes excess acreage basically over the building lot.
But the multiplication factor can get ridiculous. Like if your lot size was like 0.15 or 0.05, it could multiply the number by like 12. Compared to somebody who has multiple acres, the multiplication could be like 0.0, could be like 0.5.
Okay.
So you've got a moderate size adjustment because your lot is so small. So those are the factors that are going into this.
All right.
But I think what we really have to work with is the condition factor. But I think we're going to do all these deliberations at the end. Is
Okay.
that the plan?
Yeah, we let people know
Okay.
in writing after.
I'm probably getting too much in the weeds. This new format's a little different.
All right. All right, well, and that then, does that conclude your comments, Craig?
Yes, I mean, that's just, like I said, there's been 2 arms length transactions, the one in 2011 for 28.5. Again, I don't know if the valuation has changed over the years to bring it up to that 91,000 approximately, but we just bought it in December. So, I mean, that's a real clear, accurate time frame. I mean, it's not like 2 years ago.
Yeah, Craig, can I
that's
ask
why.
one other
That's
quick
why
question?
Yeah,
The easement, how much of your total property do you think that driveway takes up?
it's small. The driveway doesn't take up a lot,
Like
but it was
5%, 10%?
oh my God. I honestly, I don't have a map in front of me. It's a small
Okay.
percentage. It's, the maps are on file. I don't know, we went through zoning and, we got a variance to modify the existing plan that was approved by citizens. It's only a small piece, but it was something that needed to be clarified for the title. So there wouldn't be any issues. That's what we went and did.
All right, thank you. All right, no other questions from me.
All righty.
Okay. In that case, we'll move on. Thank you very much, Craig, and we'll move on
All right.
to our next person. our next
All right. Hey, thank you very much. And you folks have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
It appears that Mr. Burka has arrived. He was the 5:15 appointment for 87 Hillside Avenue. Mr. Burka, I'm gonna prompt you to unmute. It looks like Mr. Burka is phoning in, so he'll get a prompt.
Hello. Good.
Yep, we
Good
can hear
afternoon.
you.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Burka, we're here. John Herman, I'm chairman today, and I'm here with the panel, and we're interested in hearing the details of your case. If you could explain them to us.
Absolutely. How are you, sir? It's pretty simple. I guess I can just sum it up in a couple of sentences. There has been an eviction moratorium for pretty much the past year from Governor Lamont and from the CDC, and that made it, very, very difficult to evict people. And my primary income is rental income, And, because of this, a good portion of my income has been denied to me. So for that reason, I believe it would be fair to get a pardon on the property taxes for that 1 year, given that it's been such a messed up year with the, in turmoil with the pandemic, especially financially,
Could you give us just the breakdown of what rentals you normally get, what rentals you've missed?
Yes, of course. I have about four properties. I have this one in Winstead, and I have one in Middletown, and a couple of others in Waterbury. And I would say I've probably, once the people found out that they can take advantage and not have to pay, then, and there's really no way to get them out, then a good, I would say more than half probably quit paying me. So I haven't been getting like probably 60% of my rents over the past year, and I did try evicting someone also for, other things like destruction of property, but it's next to impossible. So, it's been a rough year,
Let me ask you, just in relation to your Winstead properties, what rents would you normally get, and what did you lose?
I would say normally I would get about 6 and 6, but I do include everything. I include the utilities and the heat and all that stuff. And I lost pretty much the whole upstairs and part of the downstairs. So I would say I lost about 60% probably this year.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we have to really consider whether we can make an adjustment based upon a temporary condition or not, like this.
I'm just asking for that 1 year, my tax bill for this 1 year, and if it can maybe be prorated by the amount I lost or something like that, or, I guess that would be fair,
Is it within our purview to do that?
This is what I'm not sure if it is really, but yeah.
We're gonna have to ask the assessor, but I have a feeling that this type of reprieve is beyond our scope. I mean, you could,
I know it's a novel thing, this is the first time something like this has ever happened. So, but it does affect a lot of people,
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to consider further on this. Whether it's in our scope or not is a definite question. And, does that conclude your explanation?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, it does.
Well, we're going to have some deliberation at the end of this meeting. However, we do have to consult with the assessor and look into it more carefully, frankly.
Oh, okay.
It would set quite a precedent, I guess, if everybody affected by COVID came in to have taxes changed. But I guess we have to
I
look at
understand, but
yeah.
I know, but it's especially the landlords that get the bulk of their rental income that way, and it's been essentially denied to them. So I think they're in an especially hard position, with this COVID.
Certainly appreciate the argument, and we will going to give that consideration. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you.
going.
Do we have anybody on deck, Pam?
No, not at this moment.
Yeah, I have a
Oh,
feeling.
I'm sorry, Mark. Are you here for an
Yes, sir.
applicant? I'm sorry.
I am. I have the 5:30 hearing.
Okay. And what's the name of that? The 5:30 would be Bernstein.
Kerry Bernstein, 436 Winchester Road.
Okay, very good. Mark, if you'd like to proceed with your detailed explanation, appreciate that.
Thank you. I'll try not to be too detailed. I know you've got plenty of business. First of all, I'm Mark Needleman. I'm representing Mr. Bernstein in connection with this application. This is not your typical application What led up to this was the purchase by my client of this property. And it previously had been granted a partial exemption pursuant to Public Act 490. And that had been in place for a number of years. However, my client purchased this property last summer and did not have an opportunity or really the time to hire a certified forester to prepare the required report to submit to the assessor's office by the mandated October 1 deadline. And because of that, the exemption, if you will, in legal terms, disappeared. And the property was revalued at its fair market value, if you will. So it went from 225,310, and with the elimination of the 490 exemption, went up to 322,490. So approximately $100,000 was added to the value of the property. The only difference to the property itself or the value of the property really was zero, other than the fact that the Public Act 490 exemption was eliminated, which caused the property to be valued at its full value instead of the reduced value. So again, it's a unique hardship for someone who recently purchased property, didn't have the time to contract, hire, obtain, and submit an application by October 1. He has not changed the land. The land still remains in the exact same condition and use. And he will be preparing one for submission this year. It's not a one-shot deal. He's looking to continue the same treatment that the town has granted this property for many years.
When did he close on the property?
It was last summer. I'm searching for the exact day. If you give me a moment, I can probably find that. It was the middle of August. So that left him about a month and a half. And coincidentally, in checking around to do it this year, we have found the estimates from people who do this. They have to be licensed and designated, that it's anywhere from a 2 to 3 month process typically to get a report, have it in final form, and submit it.
So just so, what I'm not understanding now, it expired, it had a specific expiration date or expired on sale?
Yes, basically it expires on sale. When the property changes hands, the exemption automatically expires, if you will, use that word. And unless the new owner seeks out and reapplies along with the necessary certification from a state forester, the town can't legally grant it again.
Okay, so our options, I guess, as of this moment would be to not grant it on the logic that we need to see that documentation from a forester again in order to lawfully do that, or B, to just, I guess, set that aside and is what you're really asking for, and go ahead and reinstate it without the forestry documentation.
I am asking for the latter. Under the circumstances, it really was impossible for him to comply. I mean, at some point you say what's reasonable, what isn't. If he bought it 3 weeks beforehand, would it be unreasonable to require it? Probably. 6 weeks, I don't know. I can only share with you that we're looking at a 2 to 3 month time frame to hire and get this work done and submitted in final form to the town. So realistically, it was impossible for him to do it. And I'm only asking the board to take this into account and grant him, if you will, the hardship that's involved here and allow the exemption for this 1 year with the understanding that if he doesn't submit, which he will, but if he doesn't submit for the upcoming year, obviously he would not be entitled.
Okay, so, all right, so your proposal is then, we granted for this year, and by October 1st, he's going to apply and get it. But if for some reason he fails to do that or get it, you would understand that this, what we're granting you today would be rescinded.
Absolutely, that's only fair.
Joel, your thoughts? Jackie?
Well, we'll have to consider that.
Okay,
Yeah, I think we need to talk to the assessor. This kind of falls, it's very different, but at the same time, it falls very similar to the last request, which is, can we make a decision to offer a temporary reprieve? Like everything that we've ever done, at least while I've been doing this, has been, we're making structural changes to the tax documents up until the next main citywide assessment that resets them all. They don't change year to year. They're not temporary. They're there until the next assessment. So I haven't actually seen a situation where we've tried to offer a temporary 1 year way to help people. I haven't seen it. I don't know if we can do it or not.
I don't
we gotta
either.
talk to the assessor.
so we'll talk to the assessor, Mark, and give it some consideration. We're going to have some deliberation at the end of this today.
No,
I understand what you're saying,
appreciate
Mark.
the-
I'm just not sure that it's entirely possible, but we'll look into
No,
it.
I appreciate your concern, and I am willing to state on the record, as I was asked, but to make it abundantly clear that on behalf of my client, he would agree that he would not claim the exemption going forward unless until such time as he has submitted a certified report that would justify the exemption being granted.
Okay. All right, very good. Does that conclude your explanation?
It does. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Okay, somebody else on deck?
No, not currently. It's 5:45.
We could talk about the couple that just came through, I guess, while we're waiting.
Is that the old, was that the Oniglia property?
We're talking about the last one, are we?
Yes, John.
That was Kerry Bernstein.
Yeah, but he recently bought it, correctly, last year?
That I don't know, who owned it previously.
Yeah, he said he bought it last year and it was too soon to file for the exemption.
Right,
But, I mean,
right.
I didn't even mention that he did file for the, my guess is that he bought it and didn't even know that he had
August
to
of
refile. That's what it
2020.
sounded like, but. I mean, that's a.
That
kick in
wasn't
the pants.
Niglia. Oniglia.
It was, okay. Okay, that's what I thought. I was just curious.
That's painful when you buy it expecting a certain cash outlay for taxes and then suddenly it goes up 100,000. I feel for him. I'm just not sure that there's literally anything we can do about it. My feeling is if we can, we'll go for it. But
My question would be, if they knew they had to renew it, why wouldn't they have had someone lined up for August 11th to start?
yeah, well, they might not have been disclosed that they needed to.
Did they
renew.
not try? Did they try and it just wasn't going to be enough time?
It might not have been disclosed that this was something that expired on changing hands. When I got my house here in Winstead, I was like lumped into some historic zone. Nobody disclosed it to me. I went and replaced all the historic windows with ones that were energy efficient, and then suddenly people were mad at me. I was like, nobody told me. I didn't know.
Your
But-
assessors are here, not to interrupt, I'm
Hi.
sorry, but
Hi.
Corey and Jill.
Corey. What questions can I answer for you?
For this, okay, are we able to offer temporary tax relief, or is it only structural changes that are going to continue on for years? What are we able to do?
In what capacity?
Well, we've got
In
two
what type of
different ones.
situation?
We've got one where a property owner has rentals And because of the COVID laws, he's lost 60% of his income.
Yeah,
which-
that's not our department. This isn't an assessing statute in which we could do anything off of. That's something that the legislative body can handle. That's not under the statutes in assessing real estate, personal property, motor vehicle, as far as tax breaks.
Yeah, well,
in that
well, the
capacity.
argument for it is that as a commercial property, cash flow is what defines it as its value. So when you cut down its cash flow, you intrinsically cut down its value.
So then we should go across the board and decrease everybody's taxes in the town, because
the
everybody's in the
tough part,
same
yeah.
boat.
You know, gotta be,
That would be the nightmare. That would be the
that would be the
nightmare.
nightmare.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the,
Right, we're all in the same boat here. Unfortunately, this isn't the structure or legislative body in which to ask for tax relief off of his taxes, not with his inability to pay taxes. We're all in the same boat. Every other property owner in town is in the same boat. More than likely.
and then we have a second guy here who's, he bought it and it was too soon to, or he might not even have known that he needed to reapply to get the
Well-
forestry thing.
Yep, so for the forestry report, that is filed on the land records. If someone did the title search with regards to the classification of forestry, that would have been indicated on the title search. It's documented in the land records, and that's how we keep track of it. That should have been picked up. There's plenty of local foresters who are very familiar with the area who could have done it within 2 months' time.
Well, he only had a month and a half. So even with that 2-month
A
estimate.
month and a half is not I've had way closer situations. It's not impossible by any stretch. And knowing that if the house is in escrow, just say 2 months prior to the closing, that's another 2 months that they would have had to get the ball rolling.
All right, so the answer is basically blame your real estate agent.
I'm not gonna point a finger, but
Okay, so we're saying that you think they had enough time, but the question that comes to my mind is, if we felt it was 2 weeks and they didn't have enough time, would we then, as Joe pointed out, be able to do a temporary 1-year change while this guy files his forestry thing?
there's nothing in the statute stating that there's a temporary allowance for it. There's really no leeway in any way, which way.
Either way, okay.
Correct.
So that answers that one twice. Okay, good. All right, anybody else on deck?
Not yet.
Oh, what about the guy's property on East Wakefield? You want to talk about that? Well,
Well, East Wakefield, the only thing about that lot is it's got a view to the lake, whereas the comps here, I don't know that they have that view.
no, the comps don't work. The acreages aren't comparable.
But the view is a big deal. I mean, it's
Yeah.
got the view is
Well,
a big deal.
it's got that tax factor on it. When you look at the card, I think all the factors are correct. But when it comes to actual value, he doesn't have a direct appraisal, but he does have a sale price, which most people would say is better than an appraisal when it comes to predicting actual value.
If it was exposed to the market, that's the thing.
Yeah, and we don't have access to, I don't know if somebody can look it up on the MLS to verify
I'm doing it now.
listed.
I'm gonna do it now. Let's see when it was last, boom.
But I
Okay,
mean, as long as the story checks out, that was listed for a long time at 37 and nobody was buying it and then he snapped it up. I think that it's proper to try to do something with the condition factor to give him something. Right?
Is there any access or easement across the street from that property?
I'm sorry, was that?
Is there any access or easement across the street?
Yeah, there's a small easement. He said it was just a little bit of his land. It wasn't huge, but there's a small easement.
No, I mean, across the street to the water.
no, he hasn't mentioned it. Let's see what the
I wasn't
MLS is
mentioning it.
here. I guess that had an old house on it.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
zoned
they put it up,
residential
yeah.
vacant, so it's in the proper zone for that, I think, or the description.
851 East Wakefield. Oh, they were gonna build a house for you. Okay, so they were also, the listing was offering to build a house. Okay, boom. Let's see what else they had. 851 East Wakefield. It's It's, well, I don't see it as land. Let me see, maybe if I search land, maybe that would be helpful. Okay, boom, land, cross property. Let's just do that. Pow. Okay, cross property. Boom, cross property search. 851, 851, town of Winchester. Winchester. And result, no results. Come on, what's going on here?
Joel, I'm questioning the factor that you say is on the land. What, and
Oh.
adjusting the factor, talk to me about that.
The condition factor. His description of the land isn't, you know, a pristine property. It's got easements, it's got some rugged terrain, steep terrain.
Is it a buildable lot? Are they able to build on
No,
it?
there's
Are
a
they-
foundation on it already, but that's where the
Right.
restriction is residential vacant.
They're,
And once they build on it, I'm sure that would be changed.
a lot.
But
I happen to know. They're changing the land a lot.
so eventually the code would change once there's actually a building on it. But
Right.
I think the question is, if it's sold for 37.5 as an actively listed property that was on the market, it wasn't like a pocket sale to somebody's family member.
Do you know that it's not a arm's length
Well,
transaction?
that's what John's trying to look at.
Well,
right
yeah, no, actually, it shows that they were asking, they were asking 2019, 58 for it, 2020, they were asking 49 for it. And it closed in 2020 for 37. So it was on the open market.
Did the applicant provide a copy of the easement that is on the land to see what portion of it is restricted?
No, he didn't. It does say in the notes that the easement's already recognized on here.
Right, but that could be minuscule in
yeah.
comparison to the lot
He
itself.
said it was a small piece, but the lot's not big. It's only a
Mhm.
little over half an acre. But I mean, the biggest evidence is that it sold for 37,000, not, I mean, what is that? About 4 months ago, 3 months ago?
Yeah. Are you familiar with other lots that have been for sale or lots that have sold in the past year up there? As far as what the market's bringing with regards to lots on the lake? Houses on or no houses, or just access to the lake and the views and whatnot?
The thing is, an awful lot of what those little lots that sell around the lake have no view. This one is up high and actually has a view. So, it was a pretty good purchase, really.
Yeah, but there's an adjustment for that already, 2.1, for the VW1 location adjustment. But the point to debate is whether or not the real market sale value, not 3 months ago, overrides all of our factors that come together to create a $90,000 value. And
In the words of many assessors, land is land. Land has the value. It warrants it. It warranted it at that time in the snapshot of 2017, and the market's only gotten hotter and crazier since that time. So there's no telling what it'll tell, in 2022, house or not, with regards to the reval.
He bought it in December. He bought it in December of 20. So it was just
Right, but
3 months
this
ago.
I'm looking at this a year
$90,000
off.
appraisal is from the 17 grand list.
no, the sale price was 37.5 just 4 months
Correct.
ago.
Right. And it would have been worth less in 2017.
No, our reval, these land values are based off the 2017 reval.
Right, right.
So everything that we're looking at is in the snapshot of 10/1/17. So if you're taking comps locally, obviously this value warranted itself in 17 within the reval period. And quite
I would say
honestly,
I would say it did not. If in 2020, they got 37.5 after marketing it, in 2017, it did not warrant it.
No.
I thought.
The 2017 reval put the property taxes around the lake just got a across the board boost. They all went up, and we dealt with that over the last couple of years quite profusely. But with this one, I think what we're directly talking about, we don't have to look at another comp, because this exact property is its own comp. 37.5 after being marketed for an extended period of time in 12/16. What I was talking about was maybe using the condition factor as a way to reduce the property value to something that's closer to its actual sale price. Because I think that that is the market value of the property. I mean, once the building is built, all this is going to go away anyway. They're going to reassess the property once the building's built. That's my understanding anyway.
I would rather not adjust the condition factor. I would rather the Board of Assessment Appeals give it the override, give it an assessment override, which will be a temporary override until the next reval, if not when a structure's on it.
Okay. If that's your
Okay.
preference.
You come up with you come up with a number
sure
that
John
you
doesn't
use
mind.
and go from
No,
there
I'd give them the 37.5, I guess.
Yeah, that's my opinion.
as 100% value or an assessed value.
Well,
Do it as the assessed value.
It was a lot filled with rubbish trees and brambles.
Well, yeah, it was covered with, I mean, they must have spent $1 million. I saw them cut down the trees. They cut down all the trees in that lot and it looked like a fortune, but, yeah, the question is, do we give them the full break, the 37 full value, or do we, assume that there's a little bit more in there and we give them that as the assessed value? I'd be willing to go as a compromise to the assessed value.
I say my vote's the full value, just 37.5. That's what it sold for. And it's gonna get changed when it goes back up and when the property gets developed, it's gonna change anyway, so.
All right, Jackie, we need to hear your input.
I'm thinking,
All right.
Folks, your next applicant is here.
We can come back to it later if you want, or,
All right, we can come back to it later. Who's on deck?
Zerwin-
We can hear you. You're Suzanne?
Yes, I'm Suzanne. Last name
Hi,
is
Suzanne.
Serpinski.
Zerwin-
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet all of you.
All right. Hi, Suzanne. Now, if you would be I'm John Herman, I'm the chairman. If you'd be so kind as to tell us your complete story. Don't leave anything important out.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
First of all, thank you for agreeing to meet with me. I appreciate your time. And let me see, I'm just trying to get up with my computer. Sometimes my computer doesn't want to cooperate. There it goes. Okay, great. It's nice when the computer, wait a minute, let me get off of this one. Can you hear me now? Good.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna get rid of the time. I don't know why it's cooperating. Okay. And the original bills that came, my daughter had gotten the mail and she left them in her car. So I wasn't aware that they had arrived. Then I got the letter regarding the appeal and I was a little horrified because I hadn't, as I said, I hadn't received the original notices. I had two businesses. One was ZZ Design, which was a photography website business, development business, and the other was called River Reiki and Readings, and that involved Reiki and auriculotherapy and aromatherapy and services of that nature. I have no assets and I never did any business. The website for ZZ Design is now been deactivated. I don't own the name any longer. I've lost well, I gave up the
Domain.
name, the domain name. And River Reiki never had a website. I never had any clients. I never did any business and I don't have any assets. So I've basically, everything has been deactivated. There's no longer a Facebook page. You know, I think it was kind of hopeful on my part to actually have businesses that never did anything.
Okay,
That's the whole story.
that's the whole story. I'm just wondering how you came to have this, this tax account.
I don't know. I don't have any idea.
All right, well, listen, we're going to talk with the assessor about this and see
Okay.
what can be done, trying to resolve it. You know, this is almost a question of an account that should have existed or not, from what you're telling us. So we're going to have a further discussion, and we'll be able to let you know. Joel or Jackie, do you have any thoughts on it?
No, we have to look into it.
Yeah, I'm trying to decipher some of this stuff. So it looks like back year ending 10/1/20, so a year and a half ago, it could have started. It looks like you had $2,500 of depreciated or fixed furniture, fixtures, and equipment that were somehow assigned to your business. So you're saying you've never had any assets worth any money assigned to the business at all?
No, not at all. And I also never did any business. I never had any clients. I did, I participated with a friend of mine in the Plainville Balloon Festival. We had a booth. A couple of times I paid the fee to have a booth at different events, and I never had any clients. I never did any business. I never sold any photos. The only asset that I have would be my camera, which I bought to take photography classes at the community college here in town. So that's why I had the camera, and I still use it just to take pictures. Again, I've never had a client.
Okay.
Did you put a
thanks,
sign
Jeff.
out? Did you have a sign?
No.
All right. I don't have any other questions.
Well, thank you very much. We're going to give it further consideration.
Okay, and if you need anything else from me, please let me know. I'm happy to get you anything you need.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for meeting with me. I appreciate your time.
Okay, doke.
Do we still have the assessor on, or did she? I can't hear you. You're muted.
So I guess
Yep,
what's
I'm
happening
here.
is our entire discussion through this whole meeting is a public record.
Mhm.
Everything we say.
Yes,
Right. It's recorded and available to the public.
correct.
Okay, just so I understand. Okay.
So I guess my question, so where did this tax record come from?
So in your assessor's notes that we supplied to you with regards to the businesses, we discovered her businesses prior to October 1st. We sent her personal property declarations that were not returned. Nothing was returned to us in the assessor's office in accordance with 12-41 and 12-42. Without them filing, the assessor uses their best estimate in which to gauge what they may have for equipment in their business. Computer, printer, table, chair.
So you found that there was an LLC and just assigned $2,500 of value?
Not necessarily has to be an LLC for us to grab it for personal property. Very rarely do people file LLCs.
Well,
did it
what's
come-
the evidence of a business?
Yeah, how did it get started?
I believe I found something on Facebook with that information. And we'll get a copy of that.
Arlene, no.
No. My opinion is that my recommendation is that we take this off.
Do you know if those businesses were closed prior to October 1st, 2020?
No, but I mean, if all you found was a page on Facebook, I don't know if we have evidence that it was even open. Anybody can open a page.
Okay.
If she never had a single client.
Yeah. I mean, you can start an LLC for $20. So that's all. I mean, not $20, $120. But I mean, there's a lot of people that start businesses, they just use their own personal stuff to do
Right,
everything.
but in the eyes of the state, in the eyes of the statutes of the state of Connecticut, that's conducting business.
So I think the assessor is right to send it out with the assumption that there may be a business going on. And maybe in this case, there wasn't, but you still need to,
Right.
you
It
know.
would have been great to have communicated with her prior to all of this. So we could have given her a dissolution paperwork, and she could have dissolved it with the town of Winchester if she wasn't operating anything as of October 1st for either of the businesses. And that's how it's handled, and that's how it's handled with bunches of other folks as well.
So I have well, this probably isn't the place where it's being recorded. Never mind. We'll save the theoretical questions for later. All right, well, my opinion still is that we let this go. I mean, if she had no assets, she didn't conduct any business, she made no money. I mean,
Yeah, this is one we let get away because her business didn't really exist, although it had the appearance of possibly
it's
existing.
impossible to prove anything. It's like if the local neighborhood kid goes and mows somebody's lawn for 20 bucks, you know, do we then
That's a
file?
business in the eyes of the Connecticut statutes.
Okay, right, but what does that do for personal property now? Does his lawnmower need to get taxed and his
Yes.
home computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's understandable, but how do you enforce that? How do you define it? How do you actually manage that in an efficient way? I mean,
With the cooperation of the person who's providing the service.
Yes, I mean, she may have called us back and said, listen, I had 20 clients, I ran it for 6 months, you know, it didn't work out, but I ran it. So, okay, you're taxable. But I think I believe her when I said she never had a single client. I'm believing her, I think.
yeah, I think so.
I agree.
Okay. Good work, assessor, but this, you know, you will catch some of them.
Don't worry.
We'll get
That's
the
what
other
I'm
ones.
here for.
We'll get the other ones. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, do we have anybody else or?
Your next one it appears is scheduled for 6:30. So
Do we want to circle back to Jackie for that other property we were talking about with the 37.5? I think the decision was whether to make it the assessed value or the whole value, 37.5.
I think you're right, Joel. I mean, we have, you know, we have consistent marketing. We have them reducing it in price over time. You know, no one bought it. And he bought it. He was able to buy it at that price. So I guess I think, you know, let's see here. It's on the market July of 2019 for 58,000. They drop it May of 2020 to 49,000. It stays on the market until finally there's a let's see, that is in August, late August. It goes under contract at 37.5. So, you know, it looks like they got what they fully exposed it to the market and they got what they could get for it. You know, and certainly in 2017, it wasn't worth more. It's worth more now than it was then.
Well, and it's worth more now than it was then. Should we make a compromise?
No, I would say that it was way over. It was probably, I mean, there's no way to know it until it actually sells, but it probably wasn't worth that amount that it was assessed for before. But you never know until you try to sell it.
Yeah.
I think is what John is saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's been you know, it was marketed here for, you know, a full year before they brought the price down and it sold. So, you know, that's pretty hard to argue with. That's really a market test.
Yeah, and it is based on what the prices were at the time of the appraisal.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
the
we make our-
2017 appraisal, when they went through and just did the factors on everything. So it's.
I mean, we make our best guess. You know, we do assessments, we make our very best guess based upon the best information we have. But sometimes, you know, marketing a property for a year, it's just a better test than our guesstimates. I think you would agree with that, Joel.
Yeah, and from
I
the
do.
town's perspective, this is a punt anyway, because if the property is actually developed, which I think there are plans for it, it's gonna get reassessed once the building's done.
Yeah, and it's gonna have a beautiful house on it because he's gonna build an incredible house and it'll be a whole other deal. Yeah.
Okay,
He builds beautiful houses. We know that. So,
And the town could always use a few more of those.
okay, so final judgment on that, we're gonna give him the 37.5 as full value.
okay.
I agree,
Okay.
or that's my vote. Or I don't know. That's-
The ayes have it.
the
Okay.
ayes have it.
Okay, anybody home? Nobody's home? Let's see here. 613. Oh, we already had her. She was in there twice. Okay, so we now have, she had two businesses. The Hills may be showing up then.
You have Hill singular and then Hills. So
Oh,
I
we're
think
two-
you have, yeah, you have Hill before you have Hills.
We do. But collectively, they're also still Hills. And that also could be argued.
You are right.
So if Asim doesn't show up, do we deliberate about it without him, or do we just let it go? I don't remember.
I'm sure the assessors will answer that.
Well, they haven't,
I know we've dealt with it before, I just forget.
I mean, somebody has to present their case
Okay.
in order to have
That's
a
what I was
case.
thinking.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't show up, I think you forfeit your right to, it's not a service where you call in and say, hey, check my thing for me. It's like, I'm gonna come in and tell you, I'm gonna
Yeah.
present my case and you're gonna hear it.
They still might come tomorrow. We've had that in the past, where people that can't make it, they show up the next day and we just work them in.
Well, that would be courteous of us.
This looks like it's gonna be the same issue as the other one.
Yeah, Jeffrey, Amanda, 6:30.
Oh, to reinstate the same deal. So with your, either we can't, sounds like you're not gonna be able to deal with that. Okay, well, it depends what there's, well, we'll find out.
I don't think we have the power to do it.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Honestly, I think that they didn't even know about it. Otherwise, the argument would be that they tried and the report came in 2 weeks too late. It would have been a much more dramatic story. I think they just didn't know about it, and that's not necessarily our fault. I still feel bad
Okay.
for them, though. I mean, I wish we could do something, but
Looking forward to the Hills, plural. They're saying they're being taxed as a two-family rather than a one-family. But not that that necessarily. You ever hear that statement? The cat has got my homework. The cat has got my homework. Jeez.
no, I think the Hills is another forest land exemption question.
No,
Well,
No,
Hills, plural.
no,
Oh,
that's Hill.
well, they're different Hills. Frank and
Yeah.
Nancy versus Jeffrey and Amanda.
Well, Frank and Nancy have an appraisal.
And they have an appraisal.
I like
Okay.
appraisals as long as they're recent. Makes my job easy.
Yes, teach what, teach money.
It is.
It says done for the town of Winchester for Kevin Nelligan. The appraisal was conducted for the town of Winchester. Why would that be?
As the house is under foreclosure. Through the town.
Ah,
Okay, so he is appraising it at not a lot of money. Okay.
Oh,
He's got a lot of comps.
Folks, I think Jeff and Amanda Hill are entering. Singular.
All right, Jeff and Amanda Hill. Hi.
Are they here?
Yes.
Hello,
Hello.
Mr. The Hills.
Yes.
Hi
Hello?
there. I'm John Herman. I'm the chairman today, and we'd like to offer you the opportunity to explain your case to us.
What case exactly are we explaining?
Well, you've got an appeal here of taxes. So your tax appeal. Give us your explanation as to why your taxes should be adjusted.
Well, we purchased 28 plus acres adjacent to our current property where we reside, and we don't plan on building on it. We're working with the forester to come up with a forest management plan. And we're going to apply for 490 in the fall.
That is written currently. We're just waiting for the filing period.
Okay.
So are we applying for this for, I guess, the last tax year or going forward?
It would be going forward.
Okay, so we will be covered. I guess the filing period is open in October.
You're required to have it filed by October, correct?
So can we file right now?
You can file, but it will be it's effective as of October.
Exactly.
It's granted and done correctly. It would be that would be the effective
Okay.
time period.
Well, we could get that down to town hall tomorrow.
Okay, I'm not sure that it helps to get it down in advance because it still affects the same tax period regardless.
Okay.
You may
You
have
definitely don't want to lose it. Stick it somewhere and forget to file it, so.
Yeah,
No,
forget
don't
to
worry.
file
That was made very clear.
I mean, apparently you've missed 1 year of that filing, I think is the
Right.
yeah, okay.
We did not understand that the land was registered as forest land when we purchased it. We immediately engaged the state forester. She explained exactly what was required and connected us with our forest manager, who was able to come out in, I believe, November of last year to walk the property. And he had the plan to us, I think, by February.
Wow, 4 months. That kind of validates the other guy's story too. But yeah, it's not, we've been through this with one other applicant already, but there's not really a lot we can do about the forestry thing, so we can't really offer a lot of help for you for this year. But
Okay.
Okay, so get it filed, for next year and that
it was
should work
really
out.
great meeting our neighbors.
Yeah, right?
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Did you want to add anything else?
So are we going to be supplementally billed for this past year?
We have to talk to the assessor, but that's our understanding. That we don't have the authority to alter that year.
Understand.
Okay. Well, good to know, and probably a very expensive learning lesson.
All right, I'm
So-
sorry to hear that. Okay.
Well, was there something we could have done when we procured the land to preempt the lag in forest assessment?
Only if you had anticipated it and contacted a forester earlier. I think that's the only.
Can I interject here? Hi, I'm the assessor here in Winchester. At the time of the title search when you purchased the land, someone should have done a title search and noticed that the 490 was classified on the land records. They would have picked it up at that time in February of 2020. And at that time, had they picked it up, they could have notified you to tell you to, kind of get the wheels rolling in regards to that.
But we still would have had to have that filed by October, correct?
Correct. But I see that you purchased the land in February of 2020.
Right.
Yeah.
In
So-
COVID time, so
Right.
it was a slow go for everybody involved to
Right.
get everything moving.
Right. So that's how it would have been picked up initially with regards to the 490 classification on the property for the
Okay.
previous ownership.
Yeah.
unfortunately, but we can accept your forced application at any time as long as it's dated prior to October 1st. The sooner you turn it in, the sooner it's off your plate, and then you'll be all lined up for October 1st, 2021 grand list.
Okay.
Okay.
So who should we address that to?
The assessor's office.
Okay.
Yep. And we'll accept it. And once we classify it come the fall, then we'll go ahead and give you a copy of all your paperwork showing the new assessment and what your taxes will be based off for the 21 grand list.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
we good?
Okay, anybody else on deck?
Guess we're all set.
Okay, is there anybody we haven't deliberated on a little bit that we could do that? We could do, let's see here.
I think we're caught up.
Yeah. Okay, 630 Hill, Jeffrey and Amanda. 246 Gilbert Avenue. This is under foreclosure, a tax foreclosure by the town. Is that what's going on? Do we know?
Correct, yes. They should be joining shortly.
Okay.
So these are the people getting foreclosed upon for taxes. Is that
Correct.
Okay, based on exterior observation from the street, office files and town records, so he didn't go inside it. This older colonial style dwelling has received less than average maintenance and care, displaying extensive deferred maintenance. Care is in comparatively fair condition overall. The property appraised has been average appeal and marketability. I'm reading from the appraisal. Robert Bartos, he's been at it forever in Litchfield County as an appraiser.
so he's saying the whole property is worth 35,000.
That's what he's saying.
And
the house must be falling down.
All right, so it appears that your next application's coming in.
August 2020. I mean, brand new appraisal.
Folks, I'm gonna ask you to unmute yourself. You'll get a prompt and you just wanna, there you go. Can you identify yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Nancy Hills. I'm Frank Hills.
Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Hill. I'm John Herman. I'm the chairman today. We're looking at your application, and we want to just invite you to explain it to us in as fully as you possibly can.
Okay, well, we had gotten a copy of an appraisal stating that our house is valued at only $35,000. And we were trying to appeal what we're paying for taxes to try and bring it down. We live on a fixed income. We're on Social Security, both of us, and we're trying to do the best we can to, you know, save as much money as we can to try and do what we can to, you know, pay our taxes.
Okay.
I
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
correct. I'm new at this. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right.
You're doing all right.
You're doing all right. I mean, when I look at the assessor's card for your property, it looks like, you know, the value we have for your total value seems to be, let's see, am I looking in the right slot here? 100 and, let's see here, what year am I looking at here? 2011. Appraised value is 179. Appraised building value 142. Special land value, so 179 in total. Could you explain to us why you think it's worth so little compared to what we have in the town records? What, would you give us an explanation?
I sent a copy of the appraisal.
Right, which we
And-
have.
Okay, and in there it says it's only worth 35,000.
Yeah, I was just looking for your impression of why you think it's worth so much less, aside from the appraisal.
Well, I mean, I know the house, needs some work, quite a bit of work.
We don't think it's worth less, but the town,
Well, no, the appraisal that the appraiser did said that that's what it's worth.
Right, we have the appraisal, so we're aware of that. But what I was looking for was your opinion and thoughts on it, why you think it's worth less, aside from the appraisal.
Okay, well, like I say, the house needs work, definitely. I mean, it needs to be painted. The exterior needs work, definitely.
some bushes need to be cut down.
Okay.
And so therefore I could see where, it brings the value down quite a bit.
Okay.
And I mean, we have an underground stream that goes under our house 24/7, so the sump pump goes 24/7 on the house.
Okay. All right. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I don't think so.
We don't think the house is worth as little as they say. We
What
think
do you
it's
think?
worth.
What do you think it's worth?
I would say, at least 120.
Okay. So if you were to sell it tomorrow, how much would you, if I wanted to buy your house tomorrow, what would you accept for it?
I wouldn't, because I don't want to move. I want to live here.
Okay. All right. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So we think it's, the appraisal says 35. You think it's worth something more, but you don't know what, really. You don't know what.
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, we're not into property. We're not into, buying houses. No, we're just not into that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? We're happy living where we live. We don't really want to move anywhere else.
We're too old.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
We're both in our 60s. We're both collecting Social Security, and
My wife is
I'm disabled. So,
All right.
and I'm not much good either, but I'm not disabled according to the law.
But you're reasonably good, though. You say you're not much good. You're reasonably good.
well, we both have our health issues. We
All
both have
right,
heart
fair
conditions.
enough. Fair enough. Okay.
I have a bad back and I can't walk long distances. But see, I had was let go of my job when I had it in '86.
And he hasn't worked since, so he can't get disability. So,
That's why I couldn't get disability. If I had done it before, I'd been able to, but I didn't realize that I couldn't.
All right, I understand. Well, getting back to the house for just a minute. So we have an appraisal for 35, and we have you who thinks it's worth something more, but you're not sure what. Is there anything you'd like to add regarding valuation of the house?
Well, the town evaluated it at a higher rate. I don't know why these people didn't either. These people were done through the town, not by us.
Right. Yeah, no, I saw that on the appraisal. Yeah. Okay,
We'll consider
questions?
it.
Panel, have any questions?
Nope.
Okay. All right, well, listen, I think if you have anything else to add, would be glad to hear it. Otherwise, we're going to give that some consideration, Mr. and Mrs. Hill.
okay, thank you. And it's Hills with an S.
Hills with an S. Yes, it is. I'm looking at it right here. Okay, very good. All right.
Plural, little mountains.
Multiple mountains. Yes.
Yes.
All right. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
So I believe your next applicant is here. I see you've just unmuted yourself. If you would identify yourself for the board.
Ryan Horvey,
Thank you.
545 East Wakefield Boulevard.
All right, Mr. Horvath, welcome. I'm John Herman. I'm the chairman, and we're just going to ask you now to give us your as complete an explanation of your appeal as you can.
Well, I never honestly paid attention to my taxes until we decided to build a new house, and it was brought to my attention by the appraiser and the bank that they had one of the properties labeled as direct water access and the other labeled as direct waterfront. So 544 East Wakefield Boulevard is a separately deeded property, which is the waterfront. There's a shed, a dock. It's a separate parcel. 545 is where the houses are. The bank questioned the taxes based on the fact that because they're separate deeds, I could sell the waterfront and the house would be no longer water access or waterfront. So this is kind of on their recommendation to get this changed to lower the taxes on the property. And then on their part, I had to sign documents stating that I would not necessarily sell it to protect their interest in the mortgage.
Oh, that's interesting. So they gave you a mortgage on 544 with the understanding that you would not sell the lot off separately
Yes,
as a stipulation.
because it as a stipulation. So because it's two parcels and there's two separate deeds, the house with the waterfront is obviously worth much more than the house without the waterfront.
Right.
But then they also question the taxes on how come I'm paying direct water access on the house portion, but then I'm also paying waterfront on the no house portion, where they said that that's double dipping the water because it's either waterfront or it's water access, but it shouldn't be both when they're directly across the street from each other. And one would disappear if the other was gone.
So the
If that makes
waterfront
sense.
property is across the street from the,
Correct.
Yeah, he's actually given us a survey that makes it pretty clear.
I don't have that.
It looks like it's the third page, or the last page of his packet.
Well,
Didn't we have the same issue with the marina last year?
Somewhat similar, but this is
So I did a
really,
lot of things. Prepping for this, I did quite a bit of research. And there are a lot of houses, like the marina was one that I actually looked at, that have waterfront property, but they do not have a separate deed for the waterfront. So if you were to look on the assessor's database for, I think 540 or 539 or 537, those properties are right down the street from me. They have docks, they have access to their waterfront, but there is no separate deed.
So the town
It's
card,
almost,
the town card has both of those properties together. But so what you're
I'm
saying is,
just throwing the number.
am I looking at the right paper?
I don't have that last page that you do, John.
so your mortgage currently encumbers both properties is the reality. As far as
Well,
your,
so my mortgage is actually listed on 544 East Wakefield Boulevard, which is the waterfront.
right, with that stipulation that you cannot sell the other one or the mortgage is voided, I guess,
There it is. Let's see.
violated.
Yeah, unless,
So I guess it
Well,
encumbers both with different language.
But aren't
Kind of,
both
yes.
the properties that are separate like that, that the waterfront property is taxed separately from the across the street property?
Yeah, I don't know why we don't, normally when we see these, we have two separate town cards for each deed. We have one for the waterfront, one for the house. It's, Would you be able to submit to us the deed, or are we able to look that up? I know we're not at the town hall, and we could look them up straight from the town hall. But,
Yeah, I probably can.
or maybe we can get it separately by tomorrow from the town hall.
Are we
I think
saying,
it's-
are we saying, Joel,
Well,
that
basically,
the 232 is the total value of both parcels?
That looks like what I'm reading. It says, we have one town card. It's listed as waterfront, and it's got a picture of the little house or cabin on it with the value included. And I think it even says on there somewhere, lots combined, 131-17 or 173-178, and they were combined on 3/29/11. So maybe they were re-separated at a future date and it never hit the town card. If there's two different deeds though, because I actually have a family member that owned a house on the lake, and when they bought it, they bought the house and lake property, a little parcel on the lake, and they sold them separately. You know, they decided at one point, I'm just not using the dock. They sold it off. It was its own property, and their property was taxed separately. The one didn't get the waterfront.
Well, on this
Correct.
card I'm looking at, Joel, you're telling me it indicates both properties.
It says lots combined, and it says
Where do you see that?
173-17, right at the in the notes, the very first one. So we'd have to see what 173 and 178 is to make sure that that's what it's saying. And
You know,
then it says again, lots 173, 174 combined on the other side there, with an easement deed. There's a lot of notes there. I'm not sure what they all mean.
Geez, I'm just
so
not
there was
finding this.
also, so there's two tax bills that I get. I get 544 and 545. Both of them are a combination of 6 or 7 of the old Highland Lake Realty divided parcels.
Oh, maybe that's it. Is we
So-
don't have the waterfront town card in front of us. Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
Maybe
because
lots are just
I
different
wasn't doing anything. Yeah, that's taxed separately, and that's kind of the point of this. Is it is a separate lot with a separate tax bill.
Okay, that's where I was getting confused.
Okay, so the 232 is not the total valuation of both parcels then, correct, Joe?
No,
No.
that's just for the house, not without the waterfront.
Okay, I saw the lots combined, and I thought that was talking about the front water, but now I understand. So this is the property that's not on the water, and it's being taxed under the waterfront, not the water views size adjustment, which I think is a 3.25 multiplier instead of a 2.1 or something like that.
So I used a 1 acre parcel up the street, which is 601, I believe, or I'm sorry, 609 is a 1 acre parcel, very comparable lot size. I think mine's 0.86. That's 1.0. And that has an assessment on the land in the 40s, which is where the number on my appeal comes from.
Well, not all the numbers are directly comparable because they have different size adjustments.
Sure, no, I get that.
But
Yep, no, I just use it as a guide is all I did.
I think if we dropped it to what I've seen for water views and the other ones, it would drop it to about 100,000 from 150.
You know what we got to do, Joel, is we have to look and see what the other one's being taxed at, and see what the cumulative is, and I'm trying to look it up right now. Let's see here. Let's see.
I think the point he's making is they're two separate properties, and this one, unless there's some sort of easement that gives him lake access, and maybe that's what this easement deed is from 10/7/2019. It doesn't give us extra details.
Well, I think the easement is for the town has a catch basin.
Okay, so it's not waterfront access for the property?
Nope.
Let's
Yeah, I
see.
think if the property doesn't have waterfront access, I don't think it should be taxes that has waterfront access. But WA2 is different than WA1, and I'm not sure what the actual definition difference is between the two. So I thought that waterfront, the size adjustment is like 5 point something. So the 3.25 is lower. So there might be a different definition for it.
Okay.
I need
Well, it's a water view property. I think you would describe it as such. It's a direct water view.
Absolutely.
Yeah, strong view. Let's see here. Okay, the assessor's database is not coming up on the computer for me for some reason. Okay.
Hey, I just got an offline for update. I was just in it also.
Okay, yeah, check back in a few minutes, it says for some reason. All right, well, you know what we're gonna
So
have to
they've
do
got-
is,
I could tell, I have it on the town's GIS map. They've got an additional 13,000 for 544 as direct waterfront vacant land
okay, so it's a total value of 13,000?
is what it's listed as, yes.
Okay, well, here's the dilemma. You know, obviously, sell that by itself, it's gonna sell for a lot more than 13,000. So we have to look at your lot. Does it deserve an adjustment because it is water view and not water access? And then we have to look at that other lot and see what the story is there, because clearly 13,000 wouldn't cover it. It would garner quite a lot more than that if it were sold, because it's direct waterfront. So we have to look at
Yeah, and that's where
overall.
and that's where the bank, that's kind of where this is leading towards, is and I guess the kicker for the bank is the final appraisal. If the house was to appraise without the waterfront for what the mortgage is, then there's no tying it to the waterfront. If the house doesn't appraise, then the waterfront needs to be tied to the mortgage. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, because it's like the highest and best use of the property is probably to hold them together.
Right. But I have two separate tax bills. Is there question on that? And why are they both listed as water access?
So it becomes a mortgage problem. You've completed your loan, or you haven't completed your loan?
It's in a construction loan right now. We're actually building a new house.
Okay, so they're not giving you a hassle over the loan. That's not a problem, not part of this problem. Okay.
No, it's just the value of the land that's the discrepancy. It really has nothing to do with the houses or the waterfront itself. It's just that the 545 East Wakefield is not waterfront property.
Did you knock down that house already?
No, we're not knocking it down.
You're not next to the one that the big new one that just went up? Are you're close to that one?
That's it. It's both of them. So it has an accessory apartment permit for the log cabin, and we're building the new one.
Oh, you're building the new property. So that's all one big property, and you're going to have two houses on it. The
Yes.
cabin is going to be an accessory apartment.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, what we need is the assessor's town card for this. The data that's on the GIS map just isn't definitive enough for us to make that. But I think based on what I'm seeing here, if they are two separate deeds, if they're not combined, I think they should be taxed separately. But taxed separately, the 12,000 might be too low. I have to look at the town card to see what's driving that. But it sold in 2015 for 185,000 according to this.
So they were sold together. That's where this whole thing gets tricky. So the 185,000 was for all of it.
All right.
You know, and I understand the lake is a very, very tricky thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's 0.08 acres, and when the size gets that low, the formulas they use to create these values kind of breaks, in my opinion. And I am really surprised to see it 12,000. There must be like a condition factor or something that maybe we did something with in the last couple of years before this.
Again, I would have not said a word had it not come up with the bank, you know?
Yeah. I got you.
You know, so, and I don't know if it's a simple, like you said, direct water view instead of water access. I don't know if that appeases everybody, whatever that.
Well, the purpose of your application is to lower your taxes if you can. And that's my understanding why you're here today, right?
Yeah.
Lower the taxes and get the description accurate, yes.
All right.
Obviously, everybody wants to lower the taxes, but it's the description that's,
So the bank is still asking you to get this fixed? They haven't left you alone on it?
well, I have to wait for the appraisal once the other house is done, but they asked me to do the research and be ready for it. It's confusing to me, so I don't really know why it matters.
Yeah, okay. But it still matters.
You know, I
think the question, I don't know who actually handles this, but the question is, should it be two separate deeds or should they be combined? Like, is that 0.08 acre parcel directly across the street from the other properties, should it be its own deed? I don't think that's in our purview, but.
I think though I do think that it's common practice that there are two separate parcels and they are taxed differently. And
Yeah, I mean, if he has,
the water is worth a lot more sometimes than the bigger parcel on the other side.
Do you guys want some clarification on this?
Yeah.
thank you. Yes.
Okay, so on the parcel with the houses, and the parcel in which he's appealing direct water access, there's a water access factor on it of 3.25. So that's on the house portion. That's on the lot across the street in which the residence is.
But what's the definition of water access factor 2?
Let me finish my statement, please.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so, and then going across the street to 544 East Wakefield, it's residential vacant unbuildable. That's the waterfront parcel. And that is directly on the waterfront. And it's being taxed as that at a factor of 5.5. I'm trying to look up the land values here as to, I don't have a printout in front of me, but they're being taxed at two different rates. It's not double dipping. It's just that the house across the street is getting an increase factor because of the fact that it does have that lot on the water and has the use of that. So that's where that's coming in. It's not the same code. One's a waterfront factor, one's a water access factor. And there, I have a couple other parcels. I have a 849 East Wakefield Boulevard. The house is on the opposite side of the street. It's direct water access with a water access factor of 4.25, which is actually higher than the water access factor on 545 East Wakefield. And then their parcel across the street, that is a residential unbuildable lot, same as Mr. Horbay's 544 East Wakefield, has a waterfront factor of 1 with an adjustment of 5.5. So I'm pretty sure this is standard and universal. And pretty much all the deeds that I've dealt with that have these, you know, parent parcels being the residence parcel and the water access parcel are all being taxed as the same thing with the same factors. Depending on the location, the factor is going to be a little bit stronger or not. But it's not being taxed as a waterfront where the houses reside. It's being taxed as access because they are, you know, one helps the other.
Is that?
That's my question.
That would probably suffice the bank. Is that something that can be put in?
Yeah, it's right on your
paper?
property card. I'll be more than happy to email it to you. And if they have any
Yeah,
questions, please have them call. And I know that the increase in your assessment this year was just because of the new structure you're putting on it. So that's where the increase notice triggered. But yeah, I'll be more than happy. And I'll also try and locate the table in the vision system in which they base that off of and what the dollar amounts that are taken off of. So you have the exact amount of what those factors and what the values are behind them.
Okay. Yeah, just so I can show them and understand it. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be
Obviously, I
more
was
than happy to. Yep. Not a problem.
Obviously, I was hoping for a lower tax.
Well, I'm still not entirely sure I understand it. So it's got a water access factor too. And again, I still don't know what the actual definition of that is, but
Meaning
if
that
someone-
baby piece in the front,
What?
meaning that this house piece is deeded in conjunction with the waterfront piece. So
But
there's
he's
a
saying it's
value in
not
it.
deeded. He's
He
saying
says it's not deeded together.
You said they're not
Right,
deeded together.
right, but he just said that his mortgage is based off of
Yeah, but
having,
that's his
having
agreement
that
with a
access.
bank.
So then that's the whole entire lake.
He could get another mortgage and sell part of it off if he
But
wanted.
then that time is when that landline changes as far as the factor, that water access factor.
So his independent agreements with third parties about financing affects the official town valuation, intrinsic real estate evaluation of the land.
I think what she's saying is it's not the third party. It's the fact that it's available to him as under the same ownership. They're making the decision that one influences the other. You know, it's a little.
I understand that it can influence.
And if at that
I agree
time,
they are more valuable together, but
well, that's it. So, and the folks that don't have it at that time, and I would have to go historically and go back to everybody's record to make sure it was accurately done. That would be something that we could readdress in the 22 reval to see if they don't have those direct waterfront access and someone did sell it off, that we could change the factor to no factor or a reduced factor, just because it's in, purview of the lake itself and may have some sort of view, whatever the case may be. But we have to, that's a town-wide, that's a lake thing. That can't be done on a case-by-case basis because everybody needs to be treated fair and equitable with regards to that. We can't just keep, pulling them arbitrarily without doing the background work on it.
I think, the conundrum here is a technical conundrum because, those parcels could easily be owned by two separate people.
yeah,
So
if you were to buy
so
two other
that's what-
properties in Winstead next to each other, and because you own these two properties next to each other, they're now more valuable. Would we then increase the taxes on the properties because they're next to each other and now
Are
they're
they
more
combined
valuable?
lots? What's the makeup?
No,
What
they're
do the
not
schedules
combined
say?
lots,
What
and
do the
neither are
deeds say?
these.
I mean,
That's
there's a
my
lot of research that
hypothetical.
goes in behind that you'd have to do the research and come up with
Well, that's what
a
I'm trying to do. the
solution at that
research.
time.
Well,
So
it's a conundrum. Let me interrupt. It's just a conundrum here because the two lots should logically be together, and that's the way the assessor wants to deal with them, because that is the logic of it. However, they just happen to be deeded separately, so we got some kind of a technical problem to go through to try and adjust our minds to the fact that these could be two separate owners, and they should be, assessed like they're two separate owners because they could have those owners. But it doesn't make sense is the thing we're bumping into.
So who decides when two properties get put together like that? Can the town
Well,
say this makes sense and do it?
The reality, Joel, too,
So-
is this property is not worth 13,000. If it's sold off separately, this land parcel, it doesn't have a $13,000. It probably has
I agree
5
with
times
you.
that. So, I mean, right now, we might be over dipping the house a little to under dip the property, but the assessor is trying to
So
apply
it's-
logic to it with
Yep.
these factors.
So it makes sense. So with the description makes perfectly good sense as to why that happens.
Yeah.
All right, so if we want to leave it that way,
It's confusing.
I'm an engineer and these things don't line up properly.
It doesn't line up, yeah. But
So-
it's a tough one because they should logically be associated but they're not in this case.
Okay.
So anyway, you're going to talk to the assessor. She's going to try to help you out with your mortgage. It seems like if we were to look at the parcels separately, it wouldn't be a lower assessment. It might be a
Right.
redistributed assessment, but it wouldn't be a lower assessment.
Yeah, I definitely don't want it to go up. So
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, that should appease them. So
I'll be
All
here
right, well-
tomorrow, all day tomorrow. Feel free to give me a call. We'll make sure you have all the documents that you need.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the information. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. All righty.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
We have our next person ready?
I think that's our last person. Anybody show up?
First person didn't show up, so what do we do about that?
Well, all right then.
Assessor,
Yes,
Hello there, Assessor. Who am I speaking to?
this is Corey.
Okay, Corey, nice. I met Jill today.
Yes.
Right.
I'm
All right.
she's here
I'm the
too.
assessor in training.
Because I'm thinking you don't look like Jill.
Yeah,
All right.
no,
All right.
unfortunately,
Corey.
I'm sorry, hi.
Hi there. Yeah, that was a bit of a sticky wicket with that property. It's just a difficult one, but I mean, it's not going to, he needs some help to clarify because the mortgage, you know,
Yeah, I'm surprised the bank, I mean, because that's pretty much everybody, you know, the bank would pull them all on there and all the deeds pretty much correspond to these little baby front pieces that have the value and hold the value. And I'm surprised the bank didn't pick on you know, by calling us because they do all the time. So not a problem. We can take care of that.
The bank actually did a smart thing by tying the two in together. I mean, that was,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
that was a smart way
Absolutely.
to do it.
It is, but I think it needs to be done in a more official fashion. I know somebody that bought one of those properties and across the lake was the lake piece, and they decided to sell their lakefront off to somebody else. So I mean, if the properties aren't intrinsically done, they should be reassessed separately, and it should be two different discussions. So he's appealing an assessment on a property. The assessment could be wrong, but we're just kind of saying, you know, we're just going to say fudge it. We don't want to figure out how to do this properly.
Well, I was trying to say to him, you know, you're probably going to get a bump. You're going to get a big bump on the lake.
That difference probably isn't a difference. I'm just.
Yeah. Do you want to really go that? Do you want to? He does. I don't think he wants to go any farther with it. He wants help. Is what he
Yeah, if
wants
he's happy, I'm happy. So
from the assessor. Yeah, to overcome his mortgage problem. The bank may require him to deed them together before it's over.
that would be the easy way to do it.
Yeah.
You obviously can't merge them because the street's in the way, but
So you could put them all under one deed. That would do it.
yep.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, are we done?
Do we need to, I mean, it says here deliberation votes as the next thing. Do we need to officially vote on these, or do we count all of our individual deliberations as our votes?
Well, we could review what we've decided on.
Yeah, you're gonna want to formally vote on them.
Okay, so we decided to give Mr. Clausen his 37.5 as a total value because he kind of convinced us that marketing it over a period of time was kind of proof of value. So we gave him that. Do we duly vote on that, panel?
Yeah, we did.
I agree.
Agree. Okay. We can't do anything with, we haven't decided to do what we're going to do with Suzanne and her disabled Suzanne and her $35,000 house.
Oh, yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that one. It's a good thing we went back through this.
Okay. So
I think we have to go with the appraisal.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Is I don't know how it's 35,000, but if our person that we hired said it was 35,000 just like 3 months ago, I don't really. He's more qualified to make that decision than I am.
And he's got comps.
yeah, I mean, I kind of want to buy it if it's 35,000, but
It's not for sale. They're going to live there forever.
I know they're going to live there. They're having their hard times. That's for sure. You know, 35,000 for a house. I mean, you know, Rob Bartos, he's been around forever in Litchfield County. He's supposed to be a renowned appraiser. It's a little astounding, but he says it's in rough condition. He didn't go inside it. You know, he didn't go inside it. What are we dropping the assessment from? 179 to 35?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, in the past, we've pretty much gone with appraisal.
And we hired the guy. It's not
Having
like
been an
he tried to
appraiser
get-
myself for 10 years, I'm not sure I would always do that. Okay, anyway.
I admit it's hard to believe. I mean, if this guy comes up with a bunch more appraisals that are out of the park, maybe we need to look at it, but and see if the guy's doing something. But I haven't seen any history.
The assessment is 125,440.
The
125. And what's the total value?
The appraised value is 179,200.
179. And Mr. He thought it was worth 100,000. But the appraiser thinks it's worth 35,000. Is there some kind of compromise we should consider?
I'm okay giving him the appraised. We hired that guy. That was our guy. I know that it was worth 35,000.
I mean, with the stream underneath it.
All right, so you guys are both feeling to give. I hear you. You're feeling that. Okay,
It
the
seems
intention
unbelievable,
is-
and I think if we get another appraisal by that same guy that seems unbelievable, maybe we revisit these, but, and they'll be reset at the next, time things get reset anyway in a couple of years. When is the next reset? Is it every 10 years? Or every 5? I thought it was every 5.
Every 5 years, next
Yeah,
reval is a
so-
complete reval, a physical year reval, 2022.
Yeah, so after that reval, they're gonna have to get another appraisal if they want it back that low again.
Yeah,
But I don't want to go against the licensed appraiser that we hired and say that he doesn't know what he's talking about.
all right, Jackie, you feel similarly?
Yes, I do.
All right, well, then, okay then. So be it. I think that's a vote. We're reducing that one to 35 and we're gonna see what happens. They'll probably have to get another appraisal in 2 years.
Unless we decide to hire the appraiser.
I don't know. Okay, who else did we talk about here that we could, Mr. Horvey, or he's dealt with, no change with him, and you're gonna deal with him. It's just Corey's gonna deal with him. The forestry, we can't do anything with.
No.
And the the COVID, we can't do anything with. I think that wraps it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, the business.
Sounds good to me.
And the lady with no business, we're gonna give her no business.
I concur.
Okay, I concur. Doctor, do you concur? Dr. Jackie, do you concur? Because I concur if you concur.
I concur.
Okay, we concur. All right, very good. There being no other business to conduct today, we may be near conclusion of this particular hearing.
I think you need a gavel.
Should we formally elect the chairman?
I nominate John to be our chairman.
I second.
Oh my God, the voting is going my way. Sounds like a lot of duty. All right,
Good job.
all right. Oh God, okay. All right,
Is there any other business on the agenda?
so be it. I don't have a gavel, but I have a cat. I don't know, can't find the cat either, so I don't know.
All right, so we can stop streaming live.
Okay, well then, I guess that's it, folks. Pam,
Alrighty.
are we all wrapped up?
I think we're
I
wrapped
have
up.
a question.
Masterful job, John.
I have a
Oh, well, thank you.
question.
Thank you very much.
I have a question. What do you want us to do with this information?
I would like for you to return it to the office because the personal property is not FOIable. I'd like to destroy it if possible, please.
All right, so you want it back.
Got it. After
Yes,
tomorrow.
please.
of course.
Yes, after tomorrow. Thank you.
And the person who didn't show, what was the decision on that?
They don't show, we don't decide. There's no decision to be made. I know I did speak to him. He wanted to withdraw, but he never followed through with the withdrawal of it because what he documented and what actually Rhonda signed off on was less than what his argument was. So, yeah. So
Okay,
he
and,
understood that in speaking to him, and I followed up with him a few times and he failed to formally withdraw, so.
All right.
All right,
Okay, and our phone number for tomorrow is going to be a different number. Is that correct? We have a different 879. Okay. All right then.
Yes.
Cool.